behind the scenes with future country rock blues kings and queens. Discover them first with Palm Mash TV. Palm Mash TV.
Well, hello there. Welcome to Palm Mash TV again. It's great to see you guys. We got another great interview coming up in just a moment, but before we begin, if you haven't yet, click that subscribe button and the bell, and you're always going to be notified of any new episodes coming your way. And leave a comment on the comment section below. We'd love to hear from you there. And pay attention to the description part as well as the closing credits at the end of this program, because we'll have contact info for you. So I hope you'll stay tuned for that. From Abilene, Texas, we have Wes Ryan, another awesome country artist. I think you're going to agree with that. And we'll get to that in a second, but first let's have another word from the Caden Gordon Show. So don't go away. We'll be right back right after this.
It is Caden from the Caden Gordon Show, today's best country mix. Check out my show at thecadengordonshow.com.
Okay, we're back, and with us from Abilene, Texas today, we have Wes Ryan. Thanks for joining us, Wes.
Glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no problem. Well, how did it all begin for you? I mean, I'm sure that ever since you were a child, maybe you loved music, maybe you fell into it much later. Everyone has their own story, so let's so much go and tell us yours.
I always had music in my head. I heard it from even when I was a child. I would do parodies. My mom would take me over to friends' houses, and I would sing some goofy song to "Hound Dog" by Elvis or something. But I didn't get started on it actually. I'd hear it, but I never wrote it down. And then in 2004, I woke up in the middle of the night, and I had a song in my head. And I got up and I went in the living room and I wrote it down. And boy, I thought I had a hit. And then I didn't know what to do with it. So I started researching things, and I got in at justplainfolks.com, and I came to find out I didn't have a hit. But I learned, they taught me a lot of the craft. I was a moderator for quite a while there in other songwriting forums. And I guess I didn't take it real seriously at first. At first, it was I was writing drinking songs about the '90s and old Hank Williams Jr. and things of that nature. And I would write kind of parodies and funny songs. I had a friend in Florida, and he's passed now, but he was a excellent writer of comedy songs, and I just kind of learned from him. And then in 2004, I had custody of my kids. My wife and I were separated, and they were sick. And I was driving back from Mundy, Texas, taking them to the doctor, and they were asleep in the back. I had the stereo down low, and this song, I was sitting there just worried about, what I was going to do as a parent. I had no idea at that point. I really needed my wife's help, and she wasn't available at that time. And so suddenly I just had this song in my head, and it was called "Lately," and it's on my latest album, Haskell County.
Mm-hmm.
I drove home and I wrote it down, and I kept that for a long time because it was covered in tears, and it went back to the heartache of my marriage going bad. And it was the first time. What made it significant for me was it was the first time that I was able to touch my feelings with what I wrote. All my life, I hadn't been able to get out the words I wanted to say to people. My wives always said that I was distant from them, and even when I was there, and I wanted to say the right things, but I just never had the words. And for some reason, that song was a real turning point for me, not just musically, but emotionally, because it was the first time I touched that part of myself. And I started taking music seriously then. In 16, a guy, Mark Allen Barnett, a lot of folks in Nashville know who he is. He's a mentor. He discovered Frankie Ballard. He reached out to me and he put me in a songwriting group. And I got to say, that was the most miserable experience of my life. I couldn't do anything right, no matter what I did. And it actually sent me into writer's block. And I pulled out in 17 and I didn't write for a while. But each time that step that I've taken, I seem to have just gotten better at it. And a few months back, a friend of mine on LinkedIn contacted me and asked me if I still wrote, and I told him I did. Here and there, and he gave me an opportunity to finally get in and record my music. I've tried it in 16. I sent in a rough demo, and then to come find out that I needed to take that. They wanted me to get it recorded through a service there, a studio there, and so I did, and I was out over $1,000, and at that time I didn't have a lot of money, so I'd saved up for it, and when I got the product back, it was just terrible. I was so disappointed. I threw it in the trash, and I really reached a low point there, and I think a lot of people in the industry who've been in it long enough hits those lows as they come with the highs. So this time around, I made a point at that time in my life that I wasn't going to compromise what I wanted to do musically anymore for anybody. I don't care if people don't buy it. I don't care if I don't sign records. I'm not going to give up that artistic vision I have for what I want to do with my music. And this time I was finally able to bring that to the studio. Once I got in and I got going, it was such a wonderful process. It was, I was basically just let go. They just let me do whatever I wanted. And if you listen to the first album, Dirt Roads and Guitars, you can see that the process, there was a process there. It was pretty raw at first. But as I progressed, it just kept getting better and better for me anyway. And I wrote 51 songs just in a row and recorded them. And then I distributed them and then started down this path. And it's just been crazy. It's been, my whole life, I only wanted to hear one of my songs on the radio. And I hoped someday somebody would record one. And I never really had any ambitions beyond that because it seemed like it took 20 years to accomplish that. And then suddenly that happened really quick. Something I should have said was the Patriot here in Abilene broadcast it, along with Fireflies in a Mason Jar, both from my first album. And I got up that morning. I sat here in the living room at 6:45. I'm not ashamed to say it. I cried like a baby. I didn't know what to. But then since then, everything has just taken off. Of course, I've met you, and that's wonderful. And I think you're fantastic, Paul. And met Michael. Michael's been wonderful. And it's just I've lost track of who's all playing now. I just keep following this rabbit hole to see where it goes, and it's pretty amazing. It really is. It's a dream come true. I never would have.
All right, well, that was quite a story there, Wes. I know you got many years ahead of you, so I hope you have good luck with that. And I also appreciate what you said about me, and of course, Michael Richard. He's been a great guy, and I'm happy that he's helping me I'll make the show better. So, um, Well, tell me a little bit about your influences. I think you mentioned one or two of them earlier, but maybe have more. I mean, tell us a little bit about that.
I've had a lot of influences. I'm a student of music, and all the way back to Jimmy Rogers, and uh, coming up through. I grew up on my grandparents listened to Hank
Hmm.
sing, and Hank Snow and Ray Price, and it's just a long. If it's country music, it's influenced me. But I've also had a lot of influence in rock. Matter of fact, we just lost a big influence in my life personally. Brian Wilson. I mean, I was he was such a genius. His work on Pet Sounds was amazing, and then the Beatles, and gosh, if it's music, I love it. It doesn't really matter. Even classical music, everything influences me. These days, when I write songs, I try to write for what's out there right now, and my biggest influences these days are people like Jordan Davis and Thomas Rhett, um, Morgan Wallen, of course, Blake Shelton, of course, George Strait, um, Alan Jackson. Gosh, I mean, they're all my heroes. And when I hear a song of mine played on the radio right after one of theirs, it's an honor. It means a lot to me.
Yeah, I know what you mean. You mentioned Brian Wilson, like you said, with the great Beach Boys, and they've always had a great sound. And like you mentioned, Hank Snow, Hank Williams Jr. I mean, Senior, excuse me. Well, Hank Williams Jr. as well, but some of the legends really come to mind on a lot of those names, and they were really good at what they did at the time.
They were they were.
Well, tell us a little bit about how we can find you. I mean, I'm sure you're on streaming and on social, and maybe you have an official address out there. Go ahead and tell everybody about all that.
I've kind of just put it together as I went. As soon as I distributed the albums, I was kind of like, well, what's next? So I thought, well, artist pages, and then as they distributed and came online with Spotify and Pandora, iHeartRadio, Deezer, iTunes, and so forth. I've just gone in there and built, uh, created the graphics. I do all my graphic work myself, with the exception of the album cover on the second album. And for that, I used AI. I mean, shame on me, but um, I couldn't think of come up with one myself, so I went that route, and I thought it turned out okay. But and I've just followed this rabbit hole just to see where it goes, and that's the best way I can put it. It's as one thing's come online, I've followed it. As I promote myself at this time, I've had actually in the last couple of weeks I've had some offers from some labels to sign, but I declined them, and that may come back to bite me. But they wanted me to give up creative control, and I'm not willing to do that. And then I know that that's probably not the right way to go, but it's hard for me to do that considering my experience in 16 and 17. I mean, they didn't care about me. And I mean, I hate to say that. I'm not trying to be rude towards the people in the industry. I have the utmost respect for them, but I was nobody 6 weeks ago, and I'll be nobody someday again. So as long as I'm making the music and I'm writing the music, I'm going to do it my way. And if that works for people, that does. If it doesn't, then it's too bad. That's the way I'm going to do it. I just don't. I don't see anything good coming from me doing what other people that don't understand the process and that could be wrong, and that may change at some point, you know. But it's a Texas country has influenced me a lot. It's taught me that there's always an alternative out there.
Yeah, so you can get your music just about anywhere as long as it's streaming, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Available anywhere it's streaming. Yes, sir.
All right, well, check him out on all streaming platforms. Wes Ryan, I know he would love you for that. And I guess this video we're about to show you, I guess it's called 3 Words Away. It's probably self-explanatory, but why don't you tell us a little story about this before we play the video?
When I was dating my soon-to-be second wife, I'd been through one divorce, and I had a lot of feelings for her, but I was scared. And I kept hoping that she would say, "I love you" first, but I remember it was hanging in the air between us, and that has struck me over the years. It stayed with me. All the songs I write are from personal experience, and so that seemed just like a logical song for me to do. The progression of how you first start feeling the love for someone, and you start wrestling with the feelings, and they're right there on the edge of your tongue, and you just not quite sure if you should say it, but at the same time, it's hard not to. So that's where this song came from.
Okay, well, I love this song too, and I know you guys out there are going to love it as well. And we're going to get to that in a second, but Wes, thank you so much for being on the show today. If you want to come back on sometime and plug something new, you're welcome to.
Well, I'd love to, Paul. Thank you for having me. I appreciate you.
Yeah, no problem. We appreciate you too, Wes. And here it is, Wes Ryan, 3 Words Away. It begins right now.
We've been dancing around the edges of something we both know. Your hand fits mine just right, like a sunset on a back road. Oh, I don't want to scare the moment or say too much too soon, but I can't help thinking about saying this to you. Every smile, every touch is pulling me closer to that rush. I'm just 3 words away from falling all the way. It's there in every heartbeat. I ain't sure how long I can wait. I've been holding back, but baby, I don't wanna play it safe. I'm just 3 words, 3 words away. I hear them in the quiet when you're drifting off to sleep. They're dancing on my lips when you lean in close to me. You laugh and say I'm quiet, but you don't know the war inside. Every look you give me just pushes me to cross that line. Every second, every sigh, I'm closer to letting it fly, yeah.